my name's Amanda Ziva. Welcome to my channel, Learning with the Word Nerd, and another First Chapter Friday video. Today I'm going to be sharing with you the first couple chapters of the book Wild Bird by one of my favorite authors, Wendelin Van Draanen. Up until now, most of the books I've shared on this channel have been very solidly in the middle grade range, and I want to just give a little bit warning that this one falls more into the YA category. I would recommend it for ages 7th grade and up, just based on some of the character conflicts and also some of the character activities within the story. That being said, it is an amazing story. I actually, after reading it the first time, bought it for 3 girls that I had taught. I just wanted them to see that I see you, and I see that you can make some choices that will take you down one path or the other in your life. And I want to give you a little bit of a heads up that if you take this path over here, this could be where you end up, and it's not too late to make a different choice. So it's a really powerful story, and I loved it very much. So I hope that you do as well. Wild Bird by Wendelin Van Draanen. Chapter 1. Wren? My name is floating around me, bouncing on the clouds in my mind. Wren. Wake up, Wren. Everything's cocoony, drifty. The clouds are so soft. Wren, come on, it's time to go. Go? Go where? Who said that? I don't recognize his voice. I look around my cloud, but it's dark. Like a storm is coming. Then thunder begins to roll. Wren! I pull in, hunkered down. Why is he on my cloud? Go away, I mumble through the rocks in my mouth. I need a drink. Maybe if I licked the cloud. She's totally wasted, Mom. Wait, was that Annabella? What's she doing on my cloud? She was definitely not invited. The narc. I can't see her either, though, and now the cloud is rocking and spinning. Go back to bed, my mother whispers. My mother? No, not her too. A new voice struggles into the darkness, a small, sleepy voice. What's going on? It's Mo, my little buddy, my Mowgli, my Mo bro. He can be on my cloud anytime, but no, wait, first I have to hide some things. Quick, I need to hide some things. Take Morris and get back to bed, my mother hisses. I can't believe you're doing this, Annabella says. Take your brother and go, my father commands. My father? Why am I even on this cloud? It's so crowded now, and dark, and rolling with thunder. Wren, wake up. Who is that? Light stabs my eyes as I peel them open. A man comes into focus. He's large, standing over me, wearing dark blue with gold embroidered shoulder patches. A cop? I sit up a little. Yes, a cop. He starts swaying, but no, that's not him swaying, it's me. Or my bed? I grab for my trash can and puke. My mind runs to Nico as my guts come up. Did he get busted? Is that why there's a cop here? Did they connect the dots? I try to play it cool as I wipe off my mouth. Sorry. Flu. That line's always worked before, but this is a cop, not my parents. And he's got that look. He's not buying. The clock digits are a bloody red, 3:47 a.m. What happened? I ask my doorway parents. Why is he here? It's for your own good, my father says. His voice sounds icy, hard, a freezer door slamming shut. Can you walk? The cop asks. I muster a sneer. Of course I can walk. Then get up and get dressed. He hands me jeans and a hoodie. You're coming with me. What? Why? I look over and one of my doorway parents has disappeared. Mom, I call, and I can hear her crying her way down the hall. Mom, what's going on? She doesn't answer me. Nobody answers me. I'm shaky and cold and my head is pounding. There are handcuffs on the cop's belt. I've heard they hurt, so I pull on the jeans and yank the hoodie over the t-shirt I slept in. I feel haphazard, on the verge of puking again, and then I notice that my phone's gone. Full-on panic floods over me. I scramble around inside the covers under my pillow. We've got your phone, my father says. I am so busted. Use the bathroom, the cop tells me. You'll be in the car a while. When I come out, my father hands a duffel to the cop and turns to me. His lips are tight white threads across his face. We've tried everything, Wren. So you're turning me over to the cops? Mom! I scream past him. Mom! The cop grips my arm, and when I struggle to get free, he wrestles me down the hallway. I can hear my mother crying in the kitchen. Mom, I shriek, what's going on? Help me! My brother's voice seeps through Annabella's door, high-pitched and desperate. We have to help Wren. Mowgli, I call out. Mobro, help me. Are you really that selfish? My dad says, his words singeing the space between us. Why are you doing this to me? I ask as the cop drags me through the house. We pass by the living room, pass by the piano, and now I'm crying. Because we're at our wits' end, my father says. We've run out of options. Then the cop saying, we'll be in touch, Mr. Clemmens, and I'm being hauled outside. Daddy, please, I cry. The door closes in my face. I'll be better, I promise. But I'm talking to wood. Dead, heartless wood. Chapter 2. The cop maneuvers me off the porch and out to the street where a black SUV is waiting. It has no police force markings, just sleek black with tinted windows. You an undercover narc, I asked. You're worried about that, he asks. At 14? Just answer me. Get in. He opens the door and points to the far back seat. There's a woman behind the wheel, blue uniform, gold patches, sunglasses. In the middle of the night. She's wearing sunglasses. Morning, sunshine, she says, grinning over her shoulder at me. I want to tell her to shut up, but I climb in back, hoping she'll give me some answers. Where are we going? Joel didn't tell you, she asks, looking at me through the rearview mirror. So the narc has a name. Joel. You just told me more than I've gotten out of anybody this whole time. Ah, she says, and eyes Joel over her glasses. Classified? Need to know basis, he says, shutting the door and sitting in the middle row. And what you need to know is she's coming off a high and hungover bad. She hands him a barf bag, which gets relayed back to me. You're stuck in what you're wearing for at least 12 hours, she says through the mirror, so I wouldn't mess them up if I were you. 12 what? Hours, honey. She puts the SUV in drive and pulls forward. You're in for a long day. 12 hours? Where are we going? She glances in the mirror. To LAX. To the airport? I lunge for the door, but Joel swats me back. See, he tells the driver. She didn't need to know that. Then he turns on me like a big angry bear. Let's get something straight, he growls. You are in my legal custody. I'm allowed to restrain you by force. I've dealt with a lot bigger and badder than you, and I'm not in the mood for attitude, runners, or whining. If you want to be handcuffed, just try that again. If not, sit down, strap in, and shut up. He stares me down, and it doesn't take long. I slink back feeling sick, but in a totally different way. My parents turned over legal custody? Like, disowned me? I look out the window. We've already left our neighborhood and are speeding along Culver. The street is eerie without the usual traffic. It's misty nighttime, but there are so many lights along the road it's like daylight. We drive past block after block of curving sidewalks lined with hedges and trees and long-leafed plants, perfectly trimmed, always. When we moved here, that seemed nice. There weren't chain-link fences or alleyways scattered with trash. Everything was clean and green, and there was room. But we've been living here for over 3 years, and I still get turned around when I go more than a few blocks. Every neighborhood looks the same. We stop at a red light near Nico Street, and I think about making a dive for it again. Joel's sitting sideways, and I can see that his eyes are closed. The driver's looking straight ahead, waiting for the light to change. If I can get out, I can ditch them, easy, but would Nico even help me? He's told me more than once, if I bring trouble, I'm gone. Suddenly, Joel sticks his leg out. Down, girl, he snarls, his eyes still closed. Don't make me cuff you. How can he know what I'm thinking? I slump back, feeling my way out of my league. We ramp up the I-5 freeway and head north, all 5 lanes to ourselves. I'm paying attention, trying to memorize how to get back to the neighborhood if I can get away. I recognize the Costco turnoff, which normally takes 20 minutes of stop-and-go traffic to get to, and before I can believe it, we're long gone, passing signs for Disneyland. My heart hurts thinking about Disneyland, thinking about my brother. He's never been Morris Lee Clemmens IV to me. He's always been Mobro, Mowgli, my little Jungle Book buddy. What are they telling him about me? Will he believe them? And how could they do this to me, my own parents? We fly past Disneyland, leave it behind. I hold my head. My heart aches. I can't seem to breathe. How could they do this to me? Chapter 3. I cry myself to sleep in the back of the SUV and wake up confused all over again when we get to the airport. The clock on the dash says 5:12. At first, I'm not sure if that's AM or PM or where I am, and then it all comes back. The world spins as I climb out behind Joel. I have to stop, catch my breath. My head feels like it's splitting in two. There are cars double parked, dropping people off, but we're third from the curb, getting honked at. Come on, Joel says, grabbing me. He's got my duffel in one hand and a messenger bag strapped across his chest. Please, I beg him, I've got to barf. He shuts the door and drags me along between bumpers. Do it at the curb. I try, but nothing comes up. Do you have aspirin, I ask, as he pulls me through a door marked Terminal 5. You said you had the flu. Yeah, and my head is about to explode. He gives me a smirk. Ever heard of Rye's syndrome? No aspirin for kids with flu symptoms. A surge of hatred twists through me. Let go. Cooperate, and I will. Let me have my duffel. Cooperate, and I will. I'm sick, you idiot. I'm no idiot, Wren. Now just move. Inside, the place is huge. Counters seem to go for miles in both directions, with mazes for lines set up in front of all of them. We don't go to a counter. Instead, Joel makes a beeline to big screens announcing departures. The cities are listed in alphabetical order, and he seems to be scanning the S cities: Seattle, Sioux Falls, Spokane, St. Louis. Please tell me where we're going, I beg, and I'm suddenly weirdly panicked. Are you coming with me? There's a huge lump in my throat, making me sound weak. Scared, which I am. He looks down from the board, and for a second there seems to be a little break in the armor. Yeah, he says, I'm coming with you. Then we're off again, walking way too fast to a line that goes way too slow, back and forth, like we're waiting to get on a Disneyland ride instead of through security. He gets us past a uniformed guy sitting at the podium by showing him some paperwork, but he probably didn't even need to. His shoulder patches say it all. He's in charge, and I'm in trouble. Once we're through security, we walk down corridors that seem to go on forever, especially since every step is a jolt of pain in my head. Can I please get something to drink? I finally ask. I'm dying. He takes me over to a water fountain. Drink. Really? Really? What I need is an energy drink. I nod at my duffel clutched in hand. Is there money in there? Not one red cent. He points to the fountain. Drink. And not too much. No bathroom break until we're on the plane. You've got to be kidding me. Drink or don't. It's your choice. I take a few sips. It doesn't help a thing. We walk and walk and walk some more, and he finally pulls over to an area marked B54. There's a counter with an electronic board behind it that says Flight 4746, Salt Lake City, on time. I squint at him. Salt Lake City? He motions to 2 seats in the waiting area and hands over the duffel. There's a letter inside. You might want to read it. And that's where we'll leave off. If you are intrigued and sucked into this story, just as I was, pick up your copy of Wild Bird. There's a link in the description for you, and I hope you love it. Happy reading. Okay, hello, Wendelin. Thank you so much for joining us from definitely warmer than Wisconsin, California. We are so excited to have you here.
Thank you. I'm excited to be with you. It's nice to see you, Amanda.
Good to see you too. And today we're going to be talking about Wendelin's book, Wild Bird. It's one of my favorites by her, of her many. And so first I just want to ask you, Wendelin, what was the story seedling or the inspiration for this story?
It's kind of multi-seeded. So there was, I feel like I've been preparing my whole life to write this story because so my parents are immigrants from Holland, and they settled in California, and the most cost-effective vacation for a family who's watching their nickels and dimes is to take their 4 children camping with the dog, of course. And from California, that meant kind of going east. So we'd all pile into the Travelall and we'd head out east, and we would wind up in the desert because that's what's east of California. And so we went to Nevada and Arizona and Utah, and we spent a lot of time camping in the desert, which I did not like. I liked it when we went to the sequoias or somewhere where there were trees and deer and maybe bears, you know. But the desert, there's scorpions and rattlesnakes and so there was that. So I had that background in camping in the desert, and I had the background in just kind of knowing how to get by in that sort of environment. And then I was a school teacher, and I worked for many years with at-risk kids in the evenings. Like 2 nights a week, I would teach class at the continuation school in addition to teaching full time. So I had those 2 nights a week and it always just kind of broke my heart, because these kids were trying to get their GED, they were trying to move forward in life, but they were kind of without direction. And I just always felt for them. Like, if they could be excited about education, or could be excited about the application of their GED, you know, but it was more like, well, I need this so I can get a job kind of thing. And I always felt for them. And then when I was a teacher, one of my colleagues made the really difficult decision to send her teen to a wilderness therapy camp. And she was telling me about that, and I'm like, what's a wilderness therapy camp? So she described it to me about going to Utah and having the elements kind of become like have Mother Nature be the factor that influences your behaviors in a way that your own mother or parents can't. Because there's no arguing with Mother Nature. Mother Nature is going to, if it's going to rain, it's going to rain. And you can't say, no, don't rain, or no, I'm not going to, whatever. So anyway, so she was telling me about this, and I'd never heard of it, because it sounded like my childhood. It sounded like all the things that these teens had to do. I'm like, well, that's how I grew up. And to think of paying to send your kid to one of these camps was like a little mind-boggling to me, because it was such a foreign concept to me. But then I started looking into it, and then I started asking other people, do you know somebody who has sent their teen to a wilderness therapy camp? And it turned out that there were quite a few people I could talk to, which was surprising to me, but also it's like not something that you openly talk about. I think when you make that hard decision, I don't think that's something you go around saying, hey, guess what? I have a troubled teen, and I decided to have them shipped off against their will and take it to the desert for 8 weeks. And, you know, and there's that phase where your kid hates you, and that phase could continue all the way till when they come home. But it's the hope of the parents that send their kids to wilderness therapy camp, that there will be a transformation, and there will be growth, and there will be, you know, looking inward and all that kind of thing. So to answer your very simple question, it came from a variety of places. And then when I started looking into it, and I looked at the desert as being an agent of change instead of being a setting. That was really compelling to me. So I guess all those things came together.
Well, and I think the best stories have multiple layers like that. So it all worked out really well, which segues really nicely into our second question. And that is that storytelling is so important in this book, particularly to the main character of Wren. And I don't want to give any spoilers for the people who haven't read the whole thing yet, but Disney stories are of a particular interest to Wren. And so I was curious, do you have a favorite Disney movie?
Oh, well, I think 101 Dalmatians would be my favorite. There's no princesses involved, okay? There's no, like, the mother doesn't die, which is a big deal when you're a mother. It's like, oh, another Disney movie where the mother's dead.
They always die. Why are they throwing us off? All these.
No, they need us out of the way. So here you have this adorable dog family, and then all those puppies, you know, all those puppies, and then you have the villain of Cruella de Vil, and the songs with it and everything. I just love the roly-poly, kind of scampy, and very clever. The storytelling's clever, and it just holds up for me. I loved it as a kid, and then I I do love it as an adult. So I think it would be that one.
That's good. I don't know if my boys have seen that one yet, so I'll have to, unearth it from the classics or dig it out on Disney.
Yeah.
I bet they'd love it. I heard, I think probably from another interview somewhere, that you worked with a sensitivity reader for this story. And I was wondering if you could tell us why you chose to do that and what that process looked like.
So, yeah. So, there is, in all of these wilderness therapy camps that are, an example of which is in Wildbird, in all of them and all the research I did, there was a Native American thread. There were Native American teachings. There are there's wisdoms about nature and being one with nature. And that's an element in all of these camps. But I'm not a Native American. And I understand it's a culture that's not mine. And so I wanted to make sure I respected it, that I did it right. And actually that thread, even though it's not, it's a fine thread that goes through the story. It's not a real thick one. It took the majority of my research. It was so important for me to get the both the lore and the just to get it all right. And so when it was going to be published, I think children's literature is overall very in tune with the sensitivity of other cultures and doing it with respect and getting it right. So even though it wasn't a big thread in the story, it was still there, and I wanted it to be done right. And so that's when my editor and I, we decided this is the thing we needed to do. And so she's the one, publishing houses have connections with people who are registered sensitivity readers. And so we got a Southern Paiute sensitivity reader to go over the book. So, and then there was feedback, and I applied the feedback, and it was, I'm really glad I did it.
Okay. So when this book came out and I first read it, I bought 3 copies of it and gave it to 3 of my students. And you were kind enough to send them these amazing feather bookmarks and signature plates for it. And the reason I bought the book for these students is that I could see they were on a path similar to Wren's. And I wanted them to know, I see you and I see what you're doing, but I know there's something different for you. And I know that it made a difference for at least one of the girls. She even wrote me a poem, saying thank you for seeing me. And I just if I were the author of the book, I would want to know that. And so I do want you to know that, but I also want to know, what are your hopes for this book? What is the big takeaway you would like readers to have after reading this story?
There's that where a teen like Wren reads it and finds a new direction for themselves. That's huge to me. There's also the teens who read it who aren't that way, but know someone who is. And they can, because Wren's just lonely. She's lonely and she doesn't fit in. And so, is there that kind of different teen in your classroom that pushes people away? And then you want to push me away? Okay, I'll go away. But maybe what they really need is for you just to be kind to them, to talk to them a little bit, to maybe get beneath that crusty exterior and find a little humor. And so it's more, I think, for the kids or students or teens who are in a situation with other teens which would open their eyes to maybe what that person is feeling. And then there's also the idea of being the oxygen. And I think that is, for me, it's more subtle, but it is the core of what I hope people get from it, which is that we need to be, when Wren starts that fire, for the first time with her bow drill. And it's just with friction. When she does that for the first time, and it's just like the support of the people around her, and just the thought of that we create these sparks, or we have these sparks inside us, and they're secret. Lots of times they're secret. The things that we want to do, we don't even dare to talk about. And when we do, it might be met with, "Oh, that's a stupid idea." Or you might find people who support you and help you. And so the idea of starting a fire with friction and then just taking that ember and blowing on it to create a spark, that whole idea to me is the important thing. Like at the end, Wren's mother has finally found, spoiler, sorry, finally found a spark inside her daughter, and she goes and she does whatever she can to lend oxygen to that spark. So the idea of us being people in this world who have dreams, and we have little sparks inside us, to surround ourselves by people who will support us and lend oxygen to our sparks. That's to me the big idea behind Wildbird.
I love that. I love when you tell that story. Thank you so much. And I think that you are a lovely piece of oxygen to me and to your readers and to the Kidlit community. So thank you for all that you do, for all the goodness you breathe on us. What project is next for you? Are you working on anything?
So COVID's been like the whole pandemic. We writers, we tend to be like, we spend a lot of time in our imaginations, we spend a lot of time at home anyway. But Mark, my husband, used to like we'd go writing at a coffee shop, but just being at home and writing at home is not that different. I've been really blessed with a career that I can do from home. And so having all the things outside of that be limited, I just wind up being more engrossed in the writing. And so I like to escape into my imaginary world. That's where I laugh, there's where I cry, there's where I just feel like my heartbeat. I mean, being in the world of characters you create is just kind of a joyful escape in the first place. But now with the pandemic, it's been that ever so much more so. So I have done a lot of writing during this past year, and I do have a bunch of very kind of different things that are in the hopper. So picture books have eluded me for the 20 years that I've been published. And my kids are no longer at that picture book age where I had originally thought, "Oh, this would be so much fun to read to my kids." Well, no, I just couldn't seem to get that together. But over this past year, I've got 2 STEM-based picture books that are going to be made, which, yay, they're 20 years in the making. But and then I finished a young adult novel. It was my first historical fiction. There was a lot of research in that. And then as an escape thing, I wrote a middle grade novel, which is super fun. And I just had such a good time with that. The narrator is a dog. So
Awesome. Well, I cannot wait to read all of those. Thank you so much for your time today. Everybody go, pick up your copy of Wildbird from your favorite local bookstore. And I highly recommend everything Wendelin writes.
Aw, that's very sweet. Thank you very much, Amanda. And oxygen onto your sparks. Keep it going, girl.
All right. Thanks so much. We'll see you later.
All right. Bye.